Welcome to Step by Step. Every Saturday at 4 p.m., I'm painting and taking you along on the journey, step by step. This week we're painting a pair of twin nightstands. They were actually two sides of a vanity that got separated. So there was a lot of issues with it. Here's a good upside down picture and some of the things that we needed to fix. But it had really pretty hardware and a lot of cool detail. And it was made in 1927, so beautiful vintage furniture. We used the new silk in Serenity. So one of the first things I did was to repair that missing trim by removing the only remaining piece. I really wanted to use a mold that was like what we had. So the first thing I did was to fix the caster issue. So I just put it upside down and poured E6000 into the hole and replaced the caster and let it sit overnight to dry. So that was that fix. And then I got back on the repair of the other vanity. So we just let it sit with its legs in the air. Removed the hardware. I know I might be jumping around a little bit, but sometimes, with dry time and everything, that's how I work. So I did get started on the painting of the drawer fronts because the way they met up, I immediately had a plan for my design. So I wanted to get that started. I love silk paint. It is awesome. So I did give the piece of scuff sand, which is recommended with silk. But silk is really cool because it's self-leveling. Now here's the part where we return to repairing that molding. Kind of sped it up because it takes a while to pour hot glue over that piece. Now, you missed the faces, but I unmolded it and here's what I got. So it's a good mold of the relief of that piece of trim. And you'll see how this goes, but so that's my trim and that's my mold. Now you see there's a piece of tape there. The reason for that is because I could see there were holes in it, so I thought that tape was enough. But as you'll see, it really wasn't. So this is amazing casting resin, and it's a two-part epoxy, and you mix equal parts. And then we will pour it into the mold. So when you mix it together, I'm like a scientist there trying to pour it in the light. You really should have markings on here. It really needs to be a 50-50 mix, equal parts. If you ever watch my Tuesday Talk videos, I've had some experiences where they weren't quite mixed right. So you always want to make sure. They might have been kind of comical. You might want to go back and look at those. But you always want to make sure that you have that mix. I guess I'm looking for something to stir with. So we'll grab an old paintbrush. So you pour those into another container. If you're just doing one mix, you can pour one into the other. But I know I'm going to be mixing several times. So at first it gets white and then it gets cloudy and then you'll see it turn clear. And when it turns clear, that's when you can pour. Okay, that's my dog snoring in the background. Okay, so I pour it into the mold and then I walk away. So stay tuned for what happens next. So meanwhile, I'm stenciling. I sped this up, but I'm using gemstone mousse in Gold Digger, and I love the way that turned out. I did the two drawers, and then I did time lapse on the mold, and literally that is so fast. Okay, well, what happened was it leaked. It was all over the place, so I did another casting, and you see that a lot less of the old finish came off in the new mold. So I went ahead and cast it again. So now I'm taking those pieces and using wood glue and clamp and replacing it. Meanwhile, while that dries, I'm taking the gemstone mousse and doing my hardware. Can you hear that snoring? Gotta love YouTube videos, right? You never know what you're gonna get. Okay, so I use my brush, and then I just kind of use my fingers after I put the paint on, just to kind of spread it around a little bit and just smooth it out, because I love this stuff on my hands. It's paint, but it's kind of waxy, so I just love it. So they look really pretty and refreshed. And I'm going to go ahead and do some use some brown wax. I'm using my Belle brush, and because silk has a sealer in it, I don't have to use a wax to float my wax, if that makes sense. If you've watched my videos before or other paint videos, when you use a dark wax, you want to use a clear wax on it first, whether it's Easy Peasy spray wax or the paste wax, the clear paste wax, just because it keeps the dark wax from grabbing and making a too hard of an impression. But with this paint, I can skip that step as well, because it's really nice on there. The snoring continues. And I do around the drawer handles, the drawer pulls. Okay, so next I'm just taking a little bit of modeling material or air dry clay, and just putting a little in between where those segments meet up. Just want to close that gap and make it look as much as I can one piece of wood. Okay, now I'm taking some gilding wax, and I'm just hitting the high points. I waxed the front of the details with brown wax as well, but that gilding wax just makes it pop. And just put it on my finger and just glide over those details. And that's really all it needs. I just think this reminds me of like vintage wallpaper. I just love how this piece turned out, and I hope you do too. So I'll be doing the other vanity live on Dixie Belle's homepage Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you want to join me for a little bit more detail on painting with silk. I want to thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you visit us at lavintagedecor.company, and on Instagram we're LaVintage Decor, and on Facebook you'll find us at LaVintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.